Welcome to Uniarch Learning Hub. In this episode, we are going to introduce system configuration. We will explain all the parameters and settings we find in General, Network, Preview, Time, Holiday, and User on Uniarch NVR. Let's get started. The General page provides some common settings like renaming the NVR and changing device language and resolution for this system. The speed of the mouse pointer can be adjusted here. With password enabled, the access to the system requires a password when you logged out of the system. Below you can configure the auto logout duration. Enable the startup wizard if needed. Next is network. The IP address of a network-connected NVR can be automatically assigned by the DHCP server when DHCP is enabled. You can also manually configure an available static IP address after you disable DHCP. Under Mobile Service, Cloud Service is enabled by default. This allows you to access and manage the NVR on this server address or mobile surveillance app. To download this app, you can scan the below QR code. Then scan this QR code with app to add this NVR. To avoid an unstable IP address of the network to which the NVR is connected, you can enable DDNS and select a DDNS type here. The first two types are from the third party that charges. It is advisable to go with MyDDNS as this type is free. Then enter a valid domain name for your NVR and click Test to see if the domain name is available. On the port page, you are able to modify these port numbers if necessary. Two port mapping methods are available: universal plug and play and internal and external mapping. If the router that your NVR is connected to supports UPnP, both methods will work. To use UPnP in your NVR, you must enable UPnP in both the NVR and the connected router first. Then the ports on the NVR can be mapped automatically to the router, and computers can access your NVR from outside the LAN. Select the desired mapping type from the drop-down list. Auto means the NVR and router will map out available port numbers automatically. To map ports manually, select Manual and then set external ports for the router. Click Refresh. When UPnP status shows active, then this port number will be available. If your router does not support UPnP, then you need to configure internal and external ports manually. The ports on NVR must be consistent with these of the router. Remember to apply the settings you made. Email here enables you to build a functional connection between NVR and an SMTP server with which you have a valid email account. Then email can be enabled as a triggered action to receive email notifications when an alarm occurred within the armed period. Now let's move on to Preview. This page allows you to switch the preview window modes and set the maximum alarm triggered live view windows. The NVR uses the substream to establish live video from multiple cameras simultaneously when this function is enabled. Each preview window links to a camera, for example, Window 1 links to camera D1 by default. When a camera is added to Window 1, D1 will be displayed in Window 1. To hide it, you can disable this function. Sequence cycle is the duration that the system takes to switch between different views. It can be configured here. Time is a very important element in the video surveillance system. It's always recommended that you select the right time zone and configure the correct time for your system and make sure the camera and NVR time are the same. Different date formats and time formats are available here. Enable and configure the daylight saving time if needed. Holiday helps you to specify certain time periods as holidays for scheduled recording. Click Add and enter the holiday name. When the status is set to enable, the system will sync this holiday with the scheduled recording once the configuration is finished. If repeat is enabled, this holiday will be repeated every year. The holiday mode can be set by day or week. Then enter the start time and end time. Apply the settings you just made. By dragging the slider, you will find the button to delete the holiday you just added. The last topic is User, which allows the admin user to add, delete users or edit user permissions. Click Add to create a user. Enter the username and select the user type. By default, an operator is enabled with all the basic permissions and camera permissions below by default, while a guest has access to cameras only. You can manually enable or disable certain permissions. Then set up a password for this user. Enable and draw the unlock pattern if needed. To edit or delete a user, click Edit or Delete icons. That's all for today's learning. Hope this will be helpful to you. Thanks for your watching. See you next time.